Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our 2000 Guineas preview, the Newmarket edition, of course. My name is James, and this is Daniel. We both represent the Anteposter, horse racing website, social media page that focuses on getting some long-range anti-post value all over the world. Daniel, let's say a couple of things about yourself, or should we just get straight into it?
The only thing that needs to be said is that for any true flat racing fans, spring is an even better season than it is for the rest of humanity. Let's kick on.
Yeah, and the spring this year, especially warm, especially dry, looks like we're going to have a very fast grounds Newmarket. So that'll be something to important, and that's obviously affecting quite a lot of the runners, especially who's going where for Juddmonte. So the way we'll do this is we'll run through all the horses, maybe touch on the likelihood of them appearing, and then talk about what we think of their respective value at their prices. So obviously, we'll start with Field of Gold. The horse that gives John Gosden and ultimately Fady, although Fady's attempt at winning or failure to win over 2,000 guineas is less significant. But he's had Roaring Lion, Kingman, Ravens Pass, all of them progressed after the 2,000 guineas whilst not really showing their best in it. Do you think Field of Gold will be different to this, or can you see him ending the hoodoo?
Well, I would say I still don't quite know how Kingman failed to win that Guineas, but that's another story. He's got to have a massive chance of breaking the hoodoo, hasn't he? John Gosden was pretty clear prior to the Craven that this colt would improve for the run. And then he did that. It was imperious. He looked great. He put distance back to some good horses. And if he improves from that, and we know he handles the track, no problem. I don't think his current price looks at all unfair. I think he's got a huge chance of breaking that hoodoo.
Cool. Yeah, so that's 9-4 on Oddschecker. Second favourite, we're moving into the Irish Battalion and one of, hopefully the most assured entrant of Aidan O'Brien's, and that is Twain, one of the sons of Wood and Bassett. So typically, Aidan over the years, he tends to run, his Guineas winners tend to be first-time out runners. But will any of his previous Guineas winners have had a 2-year-old campaign quite like Twain's?
The answer no springs to mind. Twain is bizarrely and expanded. We'll touch on briefly later. Yeah. Pretty soon, 2 runs, only about a week, 8 days apart, straight into Grade 1 company. This is new. Aidan O'Brien is also, by his standards, a drought for the Guineas. Horses have come being big talking horses and haven't done their thing. This one hasn't been talked up so much. But I don't like him one bit. We've got 2 runs on soft ground. They're in sort of soft and heavy ground. The mile Group 1 he won in France was such a weak race. The favourite, Maranoa Charlie, went off like a scalded cat and died. So what you're left with is Twain having beaten stablemate, it was Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yes,
being beaten far further, Dundalk in a nothing race or something on his seasonal reappearance. I'm absolutely astounded that this is, if indeed it is, the O'Brien number 1. I can't believe it.
Yeah, interesting. I've started to wonder over the last few years whether Aidan just doesn't care so much about the Guineas. Clearly, Auguste Rodin, City of Troy, might not have been ready for the race with bigger targets later in the season. So, yeah, I'm just not sure. Maybe Coolmore value it as the studs or stallion producing race that it probably was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And they're looking at continuing a horse throughout a season. And in a sense, maybe this is a conditioning race. Just very briefly, the other thing, of course, you look at his breeding, only soft ground. That's all he's encountered. He's had a Mangeur mare as well. I wonder if they're really nervous about the prospect of good firm on Saturday.
Yeah, which is potentially why Henry Matisse, who did not look like a runner, but we'll come on to him later, is getting a bit stronger in the market. But next we're going to talk about is the current 8-1 or 9-1 current best price. Scurvy Champ. Now, he is a horse I do not like at all for this, mainly because that he is the son of Memas. I cannot see him staying the mile, and I also cannot see. Well, there'll be concerns about him training on. His best run obviously came the National Stakes last year, which he won. Fair to say that Henry Matisse might have been the moral winner that day?
Yeah, Henry Matisse came to win that race, and he hung all over the place, didn't he? Like you, I slight doubts over the breeding. A huge respect for Joseph O'Brien, though, trainer I absolutely love. So I'm kind of reluctant to throw him out, but I won't be backing him.
Cool. So moving on to the boys in blue, Ruling in Court and Shadow of Light. Originally, I would have expected to say those names the other way around, with Shadow of Light being the presumed choice of Buick, having won the Middle Park and the Dewhurst. Why is he not the shorter of the two?
It's a really good question, and you have to start with the possibility that the vibes from the stable aren't that strong. What is curious is that Appleby has referenced perhaps the concern of whether he'll stay the trip. I don't see any problem with staying the trip on breeding. That just shouldn't be a problem. What I do see a problem with, and I'm wondering if this has affected the market prices, is his two best form figures as a 2-year-old by far on soft ground. And Lope de Vega colt, maybe that plays into it. That would be absolutely no problem for his stablemate. The other thing, news today, of course, is that Buick has said he hasn't chosen yet. So even though the champion 2-year-old, Shadow of Light, European champion 2-year-old, should be shorter and the market should be a natural choice, he ain't. And that's potentially significant.
Yeah. Backed him at 7s a few weeks ago, thinking he can only go shorter. And no, he's hit 9s the week of the race. So, yeah. Don't necessarily listen to what I have to say. Yeah. Back to Aidan O'Brien with Expanded, who's best price 12-1, but you're saying it's a slightly bigger price than the Exchange.
Yes, Expanded is really, really weak on the Exchange. Aidan O'Brien has 2 or 3 times mentioned that Expanded may, probably to go to the Irish 2000, but have a go to the Tetrarch on the Guineas weekend. So he's got to be a huge doubt, and if you like him, and he's 34 on the exchanges, it's a very bold call to back him. And just before we move on, can I just quickly go back to Ruling Court? So one final that's worth watching. His first time out in Meydan form, there was not much there. His main rival Halassan underperformed, but on the eye, that was, wow, this horse has a proper turn of foot. And for a horse they're thinking Derby, worried about, if you worry about him having the speed for a mile, visually in that race, he was really impressive. No problem there. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, back to Expanded, and where are we going after Expanded?
No, probably not very far, because we're going to discuss Jonquil. And it looks like the French Guineas.
It does. There was talk after the Greenham and Craven were run. There were talk by the Judmonts racing manager of, we may feel we're going to let the dust settle. In fact, he even said, which was absolutely astonishing, don't be certain, but Field of Gold will go there. And most people think in complete disbelief after reading that. But again, coming back to exchange prices, Jonquil is. It was just a best price 16-1, but you can get in the mid-30s on the exchanges. This horse surely headed to France. Okay,
next horse is confirmed to be targeting the race, and that is Green Impact. There was Hot as Hell and Green Impact were both contenders for Jessica Harrington, and they are splitting those up with Green Impact being the one aimed for Newmarket. Top class mile form as a 2-year-old, often running in those races that might produce a 10 furlong or Derby horse as a 3-year-old. But yeah, he couldn't have done much more. 16-1, quite interesting for me.
He is interesting. He's been sort of nibbled at continuously over the last week or 2 weeks. He was bigger. I mean, part of that will do with the fact that he was confirmed to be coming here and hot as hell to France. I was quite surprised. I thought hot as hell was a very logical one to bring in. I thought that would be the plan. So I was surprised by that. Got to respect, Jessica Harrington doesn't come over to England to tilt at classic windmills. Unless she thinks she's got one, and she's very bullish about that one. As you say, share your slight doubts. The 2-year-old form, the beatings of Delacroix, narrow ones, and this is all, as it were, middle distance performers in the making kind of race. Yeah. Little surprised, but a player.
Yeah. Delacroix came out earlier this season and won over 10 at Leopardstown, right? I can't remember whether it was one of the Derby trials or not, but it was good to see that sort of helping the form.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the next, the next horse I actually thought, wasn't going to go, but as discussed earlier, he's getting a lot shorter, and that is the winner of the Breeders' Cup Turf Juvenile, Henri Matisse. So I do like this horse quite a lot. Whether he'll be able to handle the dip or not, I'm not sure, but off a fast pace on fast ground, he is sure to be closing and travelling.
I couldn't agree more. I really like this comp too. And if in a world where Aidan said this is my number one for Newmarket, I would have said that sounds logical to me. Got the experience fast ground, as we know now. We're not going to get Twain-like ground at Newmarket. Come Storming Lake, got that on a foot, and crucially, he's had a conditioning run, so we needn't worry about him not being race fit. He looked like they had no chance of winning that prep run, but came late, and with a penalty. Why not bring him here? It hasn't been the narrative that they're going to, but it's worth noticing that he is pretty much the same price on the exchanges as he is with the bookies who are tightening him. So I wonder if the lads are having a rethink about this one. Yeah, I will be on, probably like many other people, if he's declared. The question is, quickly can you avoid it becoming 7 or 8 to 1? That's the problem.
Yeah. If he's declared, I suppose, if he's declared, there'll be implications of who else is running for O'Brien and who's jocks up, and it'll be interesting. But I think double figures would be enough to tempt me in for Mr. Matisse. Moving on. Cosmic Year, he is all but guaranteed not going.
Sorry, just missed that, James. Which one is all but not going?
Cosmic Year.
No. He's declared for a listed race on Newmarket on Friday. They think these waters are too much too soon. They think they know they've got a really good horse in their hands. They mentioned the St James's Palace. He won't be turning up from everything that's been said. Okay.
So moving quickly on to Wimbledon Hawkeye, who I hadn't actually realised, but is the son of the most well-pedalled or marketed Guineas Iron of all time. He's the son of the fastest ever Guineas winner, Kamiko. Would he be able to replicate his father? I know that he was put up at 66s a few weeks ago, but 33s, is there still the same level of interest there?
Yeah, we did that, didn't we? For 66s, we just thought that's seasonal reappearance second in the Cravens. 66s for a horse with his 2-year-old form, that looks all mad. And even the 50s didn't look bad. He's now half the price. Certainly 3 places. No, I wouldn't do that now. Interesting to see what place terms are available on the day, and indeed how weak he is. What's I find particularly interesting about this horse is that they're saying, the Derby's the main aim, and is a mile too sharp for him. I mean, as you pointed out, he's out of a Guineas winner, and he's out of a mare whose dad was See the Stars, who turned into a great middle distance horse, but also took in the Guineas along the way. So he's bred to be okay over this distance, and let's see what the price does and what the terms are. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to 40s, the fairly close to no hope. I'll be interested to hear if you've got any of these of interest to you. They wouldn't necessarily be for me. Besides Camille Pizarro, if he were to run, he's 40 to 1 at the minute.
Camille Pizarro is 40 to 1? Right, and you can get 50 on the exchanges. There is no possibility of him going to Newmarket from everything I can gather. He's their number one for France. His 2 standout pieces of form as a juvenile were achieved and really testing going. I would be absolutely shocked if they changed their mind on this one.
Okay. Cool. So the next horse is Seagull's 11 at 50-1. Maybe his sire is an indication of why Coolmore put less stress onto the race. His sire is Galileo Gold. Not an all-time great by any means, but he was an admirable horse. Will Seagull's 11 be able to follow in, again, Galileo Gold's footsteps?
When extra places become available, I will play this one each way if, and I'm sure he will, remain a crazy price. As you say, his dad did it. And what's the point? The same trainer, that Hugo Palmer, has been quite bullish about this one, as he was with Galileo Gold. He says, this is a really good colt. And he was right about that one. I remember it, actually. I was at on the Rolling Mile that day when Galileo Gold won. Now, he was a much shorter price. I'm going to say something in the region of 9 or 10-1. But he's got very closely linked form with Squally Champ and Henri Matisse as a 2-year-old. He completely dwelt in the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf and then was rushed up. That was a throw-out of a race. Dewhurst didn't run well soft ground. I'll give him that. The 2000 Guineas so often throws up a massive price horse in the placing somewhere. And he's my idea of one that could hit those, say, 4 places. And if they're offering, 66 or 80s or on the day, then I will play.
Okay. Did not expect that. Tornado Alert, son of 2 John Hotz. He's pretty exposed. He's pretty unexposed for Saeed bin Surur, but significantly deeper waters here. Any interest?
Absolutely none. I will just point out that he's third or second on debut, can't remember. Then all-weather maiden winner. Everything that ran behind him on that maiden, and he didn't win by far, has been sort of thrashed in almost everything they've run in since. This is no notable speech. It's all-weather. That is the only connection. Okay.
Benevento. He is, excuse me, I missed a Yarmo B there. Are there any excuses for his green and fifth? Can he improve?
In the sense that any horse could improve on his seasonal debut, you could say possibly, but the 2-year-old form is not good enough. And the only time he infanted fast ground, he was 18th of 22 in the Coventry. I'm not interested.
Okay. Benevento, 100-1. Again, finished, I think, 4.25 lengths behind Field of Golds. Will he be making up the ground? I don't think so.
That's very difficult to say as well. I do remember, 100-1 and 150-1 shots coming in the last 30 years in the Guineas. I mean, it does happen. But his peak form was Flying Scotsman, Doncaster 7 as a 2-year-old. Very difficult to see. But, some of the big players don't come up. It's just not impossible he could run a 4th, 5th, 6th. But yeah, no greater interest in that.
Yeah. And then last, and probably least, or definitely least, is the likely pacemaker, or likely won't be turning up, and that's Serengeti for Aidan O'Brien.
Oh, no, I have him down as the likeliest winner of this race. No, I'm joking. Pacemakers is not an angle Aidan O'Brien has gone with, which he has at times, but not recently drawn, or he will set a fast pace. I can see why Twain wouldn't mind something really going at it, and that would without other horses too. But yeah, we needn't waste too much time on Serengeti.
Okay. Perfect. So that is every horse rattled through. And I suppose my final question would be, do you have one particularly strong selection or a handful of selections? And if so, who are they?
My main thought at this stage, at this anti-post stage, would be listen to Newsflow, and the moment you hear that the lads have changed their mind about Henri Matisse, get on as quickly as you can, because it will not last. That would be my main play at the price at this stage. Though I'm not a backer of short-priced Guineas, 2000 Guineas horses, but Field of Gold is going to be awfully difficult to beat. If he improves from the Craven, it's surely his for the taking.
Yeah. Yeah, similarly minded. I'm interested in Green Impact in each way, and also would reluctantly be backing Henri Matisse if he is entered. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. This is the first time we've ever done a video like this. So yeah, hopefully we will also improve for the run, and next time we'll be a bit smoother, a bit quicker, a bit sharper, a bit more precise. But please, if you've liked it, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at the Anteposter, check out our content. You can subscribe to our emails. And yeah, finally, thank you very much. Goodbye.